Okay, so if you've been feeling like the crypto market's gone from, that really buzzing bullish energy to something a bit, heavy, sluggish.
Yeah, bogged down.
Exactly. You're definitely not alone. The general feeling out there seems to be market chop.
Mm-hmm.
So let's try and unpack this. What is really going on in crypto right now? And maybe the bigger question, what could be coming up next?
Right, and that's exactly what we're aiming for in this deep dive. We want to help you navigate all these different signals, sometimes conflicting signals that are flashing across the market, especially as we head towards Q4.
The last quarter of the year.
Exactly. So we've pulled insights from, daily market reports, social sentiment analysis stuff from places like Crypto.Report, plus the key news highlights.
Okay.
And crucially, we've also looked at what some top influencers are saying. We've got Coin Bureau, Lark Davis, people offering views from, pretty cautious all the way to incredibly bullish.
Big range there.
It is. And the goal here is really to pull out the most important bits of information so you can get up to speed on this, let's face it, volatile space pretty quickly without feeling like you're drowning in data.
Perfect. Okay, let's dive into this chop season feel. Bitcoin specifically seems to be struggling a bit.
It really does.
Dropped to around $115,500 today, right? Even dipped below that.
Yeah, touched $115K flat at the low point. And you remember just last week, it was up near $124K.
Which was close to the cycle high, yeah. So that momentum just sort of fizzled out fast.
It did. And the main reason, really, the primary cause for this drop, it looks like that inflation data that came out.
Hotter than expected.
Exactly. The producer price index, the PPI, was up 3.3% year over year. And that basically poured cold water on hopes for a Fed rate cut in September.
Right, which boosts the dollar.
Precisely. And a stronger dollar usually isn't great news for risk assets like Bitcoin. Now, it's worth saying, Bitcoin ETFs, they turned slightly negative on inflows, but, and this is important, we haven't seen major outflows. So it's not like institutions are suddenly running for the exits.
Okay, so some pressure, but not panic selling from the big players yet.
Not yet. But we are definitely watching some critical levels. $115K is one, $112.05K is another.
And if we lose those?
Well, then $110K could definitely be on the table. That's the next major support zone people are looking at.
Okay. And you mentioned catalysts. Anything immediate we should be watching? Things that could shake this up?
Yeah, absolutely. We've got jobless claims data coming out on August 21st that could move things.
Okay.
And then the really big one, Fed Chair Powell's speech at Jackson Hole. That's August 22nd.
Ah, right. Jackson Hole. That always gets the market's attention.
Always. So those two events are definitely the next potential market movers everyone's focused on.
Got it. Now, what about Ethereum? Because that seems like a different story almost, a bit of a paradox.
It really is. You look at the price, it's hanging out near $4,330.
Yeah.
And get this, it just had one of its biggest ETF inflow weeks ever.
Wow, ever. That sounds incredibly bullish.
Strong demand, right?
It signals strong institutional demand, absolutely. But, and here's the catch, the counter signal. Big traders, they are record short ETH right now.
Record short, while the ETFs are flowing in. That doesn't make sense.
It feels counterintuitive, doesn't it? And on top of that, the charts are flashing overbought. We're seeing bearish divergences piling up.
Meaning price is up, but the momentum indicators are weakening underneath.
Exactly that. So yeah, despite those huge ETF inflows, a lot of technical analysts are saying a pullback actually makes sense.
Pullback to where?
Maybe down to the $4,000 to $4,100 zone.
Yeah.
A breather, basically, before potentially rallying higher again.
Any other factors playing into that?
Well, the on-chain stats are a bit mixed, too. Transactions, active addresses, they look solid, near all-time highs.
Okay, that's good.
But the burn rate is low, meaning less ETH is being destroyed, taken out of circulation. And there's a pretty big queue of validators looking to exit to unstake their ETH. So potentially more sell pressure coming online from stakers?
Could be. So you combine those things, low burn, validator exits, record shorts, overbought charts, and it adds pressure, even with the ETF demand. It's complicated.
It definitely sounds it. Meanwhile, what about the rest of the altcoins? It feels like they're just waiting.
That's a good way to put it. Stuck in neutral.
Yeah.
We saw a few quick pops in Link A or HYPE maybe, but they didn't last.
No follow through.
Right. A lot of altcoins are sitting right near potential breakout levels on their charts. But honestly, until Bitcoin or Ethereum really make a decisive move,
they're probably not going anywhere.
Probably not until October, maybe. That's when people hope the majors might regain some solid footing. And the meme coins, Doge, SHIB, Pepe,
Yeah.
just chopping sideways. Really struggling to find any kind of momentum. It's just a tough environment for the riskier stuff right now.
You can almost feel the frustration building, can't you? Looking at social media, the sentiment seems to be patience wearing very thin.
Oh, yeah. People are tired of the chop. You see comments like, wake me up in October.
Yeah, I've seen those.
And September historically is often a weak month for crypto, so maybe that plays into it.
Yeah.
A lot of eyes are on that $115 K level for Bitcoin.
As the line in the sand.
Absolutely.
Right.
Lose that, and the sentiment could turn properly bearish pretty quickly, potentially leading to more selling. It's interesting. You see the hype about ETF flows,
Right.
but at the same time, nervousness about how overbought it looks. It's this mix, not really greed, not really fear, just boredom and uncertainty.
And that can be dangerous.
It can be, yeah. Neutral sentiment like this often means the market is coiled up. When a catalyst finally hits, like maybe Powell's speech this week, you can get sudden, sharp moves because everyone was just waiting.
Shakes everyone awake, one way or the other.
Exactly.
Okay, let's shift from the market mood to some actual headlines. It's not all chop and gloom, right? There's been some significant news. Metaplanet, for instance.
Right. Big news there.
Yeah.
They're expanding their Bitcoin treasury again. Now up to 18,888 Bitcoin.
Wow. How much did they just buy?
Just bought another 775 BTC for about $93 million. Their total stash is now worth, $2.17 billion?
That's serious commitment. Shows continued institutional belief in Bitcoin as a reserve asset.
Definitely. And on a different adoption front, look at Thailand. They've launched something called Tourist DigiPay.
What's that?
It's a pilot program. Tourists can convert crypto into Thai baht to spend locally. It runs for 18 months.
Interesting. Are there restrictions?
Oh, yeah. Strict AML KYC, anti-money laundering, know your customer rules. But still, it's a step towards real-world crypto use for everyday stuff.
Practical application. And we're seeing regulatory stuff happening elsewhere in Asia too, right? South Korea?
Yep. South Korea is gearing up. They're preparing a stablecoin regulation bill expected around October. It's going to focus on issuance rules, collateral requirements, bank oversight, the important plumbing.
And Japan, something about a yen stablecoin.
That's right. Japan's Financial Services Agency looks likely to approve JPYC this fall. That would be their first official yen-pegged stablecoin.
Big deal for them.
Huge. And the plan is apparently to issue about $6.78 billion worth over 3 years, backed by actual deposits and bonds.
So, serious backing, these regulatory moves, they seem pretty crucial for long-term adoption, making the space feel more legitimate.
Absolutely. They signal a maturing industry, integrating more closely with traditional finance. It's slow, but it's happening.
Okay, so that's the current state of play and some key news. Let's switch gears again and look at forecasts, some of the big influencers. How are they seeing the next phase? Nick from Coin Bureau, he's talked about specific timing for selling, hasn't he?
He has, yeah. And his view is really rooted in historical cycles. Nick's analysis suggests the next Bitcoin peak is probably somewhere between September and November 2025.
2025, okay.
With October 2025 being his most likely month. His reasoning is that Bitcoin tends to top out roughly 1,050 days after its cycle bottom. It's a pattern he's observed.
Then what does he think causes the top? What's the trigger?
Usually, he says, it's some big, overwhelmingly bullish news that convinces everyone the price can only go up forever. Think back to Bitcoin futures launching in 2017, or the futures ETFs in 2021.
Right, those definitely marked local tops.
Exactly. This time around, he speculates maybe it's a government or even a central bank actually buying Bitcoin for its reserves. That would be massive.
Groundbreaking, yeah. And what about altcoins in his scenario? Do they just follow Bitcoin?
Generally, yeah. He expects most major alts to peak within about 2 weeks of Bitcoin.
Wow.
Potential catalysts could be things like a major bank launching its own stablecoin on Ethereum, maybe.
Doing more ETFs.
Or spot ETF approvals for coins like XRP and Solana. That could definitely fuel their individual runs.
Does he give price targets? Always the interesting part.
He does offer some ranges. For Bitcoin, maybe 140K to 160K. Ethereum, somewhere between 9K and 11K. Solana, maybe $900 to $1,100.
Wow, those are some big numbers from here.
They are. And he adds a little warning, was watch out for market makers trying to trick traders around those big round numbers, pushing prices just above or below to trigger liquidations.
Sneaky. How does he suggest confirming if we're actually at a top?
His main indicator is the monthly RSI, the Relative Strength Index. If that gets into the high 80s or low 90s, historically, that's often signaled a major peak.
Okay, so that's Coin Bureau, cycle analysis, historical patterns, specific indicators, peak, likely late 2025. Pretty detailed.
Very methodical.
But then Lark Davis, He's got this insane theory, as he calls it, for altcoins. And it sounds like it completely contradicts the idea of a peak next year.
It really does. It's a fascinating counter-argument, especially given how sluggish things feel now.
So what's his take?
Lark basically argues that this bull run, it might not be ending soon. It might actually just be starting.
Just beginning now. That feels bold.
It is bold. But his reasoning has a few parts. First, he points out we just came through the longest consolidation period in crypto's history, like a really long sideways grind.
True, it felt endless.
Right. And now the macro environment, the broader economic picture, is looking increasingly bullish in his view. Stocks hitting records, inflation seems to be cooling off, rate cuts maybe on the horizon eventually.
Okay, so a better backdrop.
A much better backdrop. And crucially, he emphasizes the impact of Bitcoin ETFs and corporations like Metaplanet putting Bitcoin on their balance sheets.
How does that change things?
He thinks it creates much stronger floors for Bitcoin. Less potential for those absolutely brutal 80-90% crashes we saw in past cycles.
Okay, so Bitcoin holds up better.
And if Bitcoin holds up better, stabilizes at higher levels, what happens? Money starts looking for higher returns elsewhere. It rotates.
Into altcoins.
Exactly. He sees a much greater tendency for capital to flow into alts this cycle because Bitcoin isn't likely to just collapse underneath them.
So Bitcoin provides a stable base and alts take off from there.
That's the theory. He points to the huge ETH ETF inflows we're already seeing as proof of concept. And he thinks if Solana, XRP, maybe others get their own spot ETFs approved.
That would pour more fuel on the fire.
Potentially a lot more fuel. He talks about the total altcoin market cap breaking $1.5 trillion, maybe running towards $2 trillion or even higher. That would be a true massive altcoin season, unlike anything we've seen before.
So his big picture is completely different. Not the end of a cycle, but maybe the start of a multi-year altcoin supercycle, fundamentally changed by institutions.
That's his insane theory, that this time is different structurally, especially for altcoins.
Wow. Okay, so that's a serious contrast. We have the current market reality, heavy, sluggish, Bitcoin struggling, ETH maybe overcooked short term. Then we have Coin Bureau saying, look at history, peak likely late 2025. And Lark Davis saying, forget history, institutions change everything, the altcoin boom might just be starting.
Yeah.
How do you help the listener make sense of these clashing views? It's fascinating, this tension between the immediate feeling and these huge long-term structural shifts Lark talks about.
It really is the core crypto dilemma right now, isn't it? That disconnect between the short-term price action and the long-term potential.
Feels like it.
Look, the immediate reality is clear. Frustration, boredom, price chopping around, Bitcoin reacting to macro stuff like inflation data, that's the now.
Right.
But underneath that surface, you absolutely do have significant things happening. Metaplanet buying more Bitcoin isn't trivial. Stablecoin regulations moving forward in major economies isn't trivial. The ETH ETF inflows are real money.
So the structural changes are happening even if the price isn't reflecting it immediately.
Exactly. And when you bring in the influencer perspectives, it really just highlights the different timescales people are thinking on. CoinBureau is using historical cycle analysis looking about a year out, based on past performance.
Okay.
Lark Davis is zooming way out. He's looking at this long consolidation, the new institutional element, the macro setup, and saying, maybe the old rules don't fully apply anymore. Maybe this cycle plays out longer, differently, especially for alts.
So the key for someone listening is...
I think the key insight for you is recognizing that both things can be true at once. The short term is choppy and uncertain, driven by immediate news like Powell's speech. But the long term is being reshaped by these bigger structural forces like ETFs and corporate adoption, which simply weren't factors in previous cycles.
So you need a dual perspective. Tactical for the chop, strategic for the shifts.
That's a great way to put it. You need tactical awareness for what's happening right now, this week, next month, but you also need that strategic vision to understand how fundamentally different the landscape might be this time around, especially over the next year or two.
Okay, so bringing it all together then, what does all this mean for you, the listener, trying to navigate this confusing space?
I think it means staying plugged in, but trying not to get whipsawed by just the daily price action. Remember the core tension we discussed. The market feels bored and frustrated now, while potentially transformative macro and institutional shifts are building underneath.
Right. Bitcoin struggling. ETH looking overcooked short term.
But global adoption continues. Regulations are advancing, and these very influential voices are painting starkly different pictures of the future, one based on repeating history, the other on breaking it.
So that final thought to leave people with, You mentioned earlier that neutral sentiment, this boredom, can be dangerous.
Yeah, think about that. We're in this lull waiting for catalysts like Powell's speech.
Hmm.
How does that idea that neutral sentiment often leads to sudden sharp moves resonate with you when you consider these wildly different outlooks? One cautious, one incredibly bullish long-term. What stands out to you as the most compelling signal right now? Is it the short-term chop, the historical patterns, or the potential for a completely new kind of cycle driven by these bigger forces, something to definitely mull over?